Assalamu alaikum. Today we're going to start a new surah, which is Surah An-Naba, chapter of the tidings. So let's start. Ala barakatillah ta'ala. An-Naba in Arabic is a singular noun that comes from the verb naba'a, to tell. An-Naba means the news or the tidings, even if this word is in plural form in English, but in Arabic it is in the singular form. The first three verses of this surah are عَمَّ يَتَسَاءَلُونَ عَنِ النَّبَأِ الْعَظِيمِ الَّذِي هُمْ فِيهِ مُخْتَلِفُونَ. About what they are asking one another, about the great tidings, about which they differ. عَمَّ is a compound interrogative pronoun composed of عَن, a preposition that means about, and of ma, an interrogative pronoun that asks a question about a thing. It means what. Also, ma is often shortened to me, which is then joined onto the preposition. So, amma or amma is about what. يتساءلون is the verb تساءل, to ask about or to be curious to know, in the present tense in the third plural masculine person, they. This verb belongs to the form 6 verbs, which follows this pattern. تفاعل. An is a preposition that has the meaning of on the topic, subject of, or about. Al-Azim is an intense active participle that means great. It comes from the verb عظم, to be great. The great news, the news of the resurrection and hereafter, which the people of Mecca heard with amazement, then raised questions and doubts about it in their assemblies. الذي is a relative pronoun for singular masculine nouns, means this who or the one who. This relative pronoun is used to connect the antecedent, which is grammatically definite, to the relative clause. The relative pronoun agrees with the antecedent in number and gender, following the same rules of agreement as adjectives. That's why الذي agrees with An-Naba al-Azim. Hum is the independent subject pronoun, they. Fi, in, within, or into, is a preposition that is used here to indicate the action that is being engaged in, which is al-ikhtilaf, and the last ha is an object pronoun that refers to An-Naba al-Azim. Mukhtalifun, those who differ with each other in any matter, is the sound masculine plural of mukhtalif, which itself comes from the verb ikhtalafa, to be diversified. In the historical context, the pagans used to mock the teachings of the Quran, for example, resurrection and judgment, and they disagreed whether the Quran was magic, poetry, or fortune-telling. The declension of these verses is the prepositional phrase amma. يتساءلون is a verb in the present tense with its subject. عن النبأ is a prepositional phrase. Al-Azim is an adjective to An-Naba. The relative pronoun الذي is another attribute to An-Naba. Hum is a subject of a nominal sentence. فيه is a prepositional phrase, and مختلفون is the predicate of the nominal sentence, and this one is a relative clause to الذي. The next two verses are كلا سيعلمون ثم كلا سيعلمون. Not at all, they will come to know. Again, no, they will come to know. كلا, not at all, or certainly not, is a more emphatic negative response or negative confirmation than لا. That is, whatever they say about the hereafter is false, and all their concepts about it are wrong. The future tense may be expressed by using the particle سوف, or, more commonly, its abbreviated form se. Se is prefixed directly onto the verb in the present tense and is used only in affirmative statements. يعلمون is the verb علم, to know, in the present tense, in the third plural masculine person, they. This verb belongs to the basic strong form of verbs, which all its radicals are strong or sound, meaning there is no weak letter between them. That is, the time is not far off when the same thing about which they are expressing all sorts of meaningless doubts and misgivings will appear before them as a reality. Then they will realize that what the Messenger ﷺ had foretold was absolutely true, and what they were saying on the basis of conjecture and speculation had no truth in it. Thumma is a conjunction that is used with a temporal meaning to indicate that one event or circumstance has finished and another begins. Unlike the conjunction wa, the order of the words introduced by thumma is not arbitrary and thus cannot be changed. In this respect, it is similar to fa, although thumma is more emphatic and its meaning is usually temporal. But in this verse, thumma may be translated as moreover, furthermore, or again. Repeating the same verse is a severe threat and a direct warning. The declension of these verses is kalla is a negative response. Sa is a particle that expresses the future. Ya'lamun is a verb in the present tense with its subject. And the following verse is linked with the preceding one by the conjunction thumma. The next 6 verses are ألم نجعل الأرض مهادا والجبال أوتادا وخلقناكم أزواجا وجعلنا نومكم سباتا وجعلنا الليل لباسا وجعلنا النهار معاشا. Did we not make the earth as a bed and the mountains as pegs? And we have created you in pairs. And we have made your sleep a repose, and we have made the night a garment, and we have made the day for livelihood. Is the simplest interrogative particle and is used for questions which may be answered yes or no. It always occurs at the beginning of a nominal or verbal sentence, prefixed to the following word. May be followed by the conjunctions wa, fa, or thumma, but these do not, however, precede it. Lem is the most common particle for expressing the negative of verbs with a past meaning. It is followed by a verb in the jussive mood, which is here naj'al. Naj'al is the verb ja'ala, to make, in the jussive mood. In the first plural person, we, this verb belongs to the basic strong form of verbs, which all its radicals are strong and sound. Al-ard is the earth. Mihad, a resting place, or a place that which lies spread out. It's derived from the verb mahada, to extend, to unfold, or to stretch out. Enough light has been thrown at several places in the meaning of the Quran on the supreme wisdom and power of Allah Ta'ala that underlies His making the earth a carpet, in essence an abode of perfect peace and rest. Al-Jibal is the broken plural of Al-Jabal, a mountain, and Autad is the broken plural of the noun Watad, a peg, a stake, a pole of tents. This verse is an allusion to the fact that the mountains owe their rise to the gradual balancing process to which the solid crust of the earth is subject. The reference is here to the mountain which are fixed as pegs on the earth. Autad, pegs, are the symbols of the firmness and relative equilibrium which the surface of the earth has gradually achieved in the course of its geological history. Geology has established the fact that mountains have, to a great extent, made secure the earth against earthquakes. خَلَقْنَاكُمْ is the verb خَلَقَ, to create, in the past tense in the first plural person, we, refer to Allah Ta'ala, and the object pronoun kum means you for plural masculine. This verb belongs to the basic strong form of verbs, which all its radicals are strong or sound. Azwajan is the broken plural of the noun zawj, a couple, a husband or and wife, a pair. Allah Ta'ala created everything in this world as pairs, male and female, tall and short, good and bad, etc. جعلنا is the verb جعل in the past tense in the first plural person we. نوم, sleep, is the verbal noun of the verb nama, and kum is the possessive pronoun your for masculine plural, and it is also used if the plural is mixed, as in this case. Sabat, a repose, or a short rest, is a verbal noun derived from the verb sabata, to take rest, to cease from work and to repose. Some linguistics say that the day of Saturday in Arabic is called as-Sabt because Jews used to cease from work in this day. Al-Layl is the night, and libas is a clothing, a garment, or a covering, comes from the verb labasa, to wear, to put on, or to be clothed in. That is, the night has been made dark so that we are protected from light and covered in darkness, so we could enjoy a peaceful sleep more easily. An-Nahar is the day, and Ma'ash is means of life or a livelihood, from the verb asha, to live in a certain manner. That is, the day has been made bright for the reason that we could work for our livelihood with greater ease and facility. The declension of these verses is A is an interrogative particle, lem is a negative particle, naj'al is a verb in the jussive mood because of lem, with a hidden subject, al-ard is its first object, mihadan is its second object, al-jibal awtadan is linked with al-ard mihadan by the conjunction wa. خلقناكم is a verb in the past tense with its subject and object azwajan, is hal, or a circumstantial accusative. It describes the circumstances or state of the subject or object of an action in the main clause at the time of that action. The circumstantial accusative is used primarily with verbal sentences. It is usually indefinite, although it may be rendered definite by being the governing term in a definite idafa construction. جعلنا is a verb in the past tense with its subject. نومكم is its first object and sabatan is its second object. And the following two verses are linked with the preceding one by wa, so they have the same structure. The next 5 verses are وبنينا فوقكم سبعا شدادا وجعلنا سراجا وهاجا وأنزلنا من المعصرات ماء ثجاجا لنخرج به حبا ونباتا وجنات ألفافا. And we have built above you 7 strong, and we have made a blazing lamp, and we have sent down from the rain clouds pouring water to bring out with it grains and plants and thick gardens. Banayna is the verb bana, to build, in the past tense, in the first plural person we. This verb belongs to the basic form of verbs, and it is a defective verb, which consists of 2 strong radicals and a final weak radical. Fawq is an adverbial of place that expresses a local idea of above, over, or on a thing. Kum is an object pronoun for masculine plural you, but it can be used if the plural is mixed, as in this case. Sab'an is the Arabic equivalent of the number 7. Shidad is the broken plural of shadid, an intense active participle that means great, firm, or strong. Those 7 strong are the firmaments, strong in the sense that their boundaries are so strongly fortified that no change whatsoever occurs in them, nor does any of the countless stars and planets in the heavens, violating these boundaries, collide with the other, nor falls down to the earth. Siraj, a lamp or anything that shines, is a verbal noun that's derived from the verb saraja, to shine. Siraj here means the sun. Wahaj, dazzling, glowing, or providing immense light and heat from a long distance, is an intense active participle that's derived from the verb wahaja, to blaze, to glow, or to dazzle. The word wahaj used for the sun means both intensely hot and intensely bright, hence our rendering. In this brief sentence, allusion has been made to a most wonderful and glorious sign of Allah Almighty's power and wisdom, which the sun is. Anzalna is the verb anzala, to send down, in the past tense. In the first plural person, we. This verb belongs to the form for verbs, which follows this pattern. أفعل. Min, of, out of, or from, is a preposition that indicates here the origin or source of a thing. Al-Mu'sirat is the sound feminine plural of al-Mu'sira that is derived from the verb asara, to press, to squeeze, and i'sar is a whirlwind, a violent wind, a heavy rain, or a hurricane. So, al-Mu'sirat is an epithet to the rain clouds that drop the heavy rain. Ma is water. Thajjaj is an intense active participle that means pouring forth abundantly or dripping in torrent. It comes from the verb thajja, to flow. The first li is what we call lam al-ta'lil, the justifying lam. It justifies what came before by what comes next. It occurs only before verbs in the subjunctive mood. Nukhrij is the verb akhraja, to bring out, in the subjunctive mood. In the first plural person, we. This verb belongs to the form for verbs, which follows this pattern. أفعل. Be is an inseparable preposition, being attached directly onto the word it governs. It has the general meaning of connection. It can mean at, in, by, with, or on, and he is its end. It is an object pronoun that refers to al-ma. Hab is grain, seed, or corn. Nabat is plant, growth, or herbage. But when used collectively, it means plants or that which is produced from the ground. Jannat is the sound feminine plural of Jannah, a noun that means a paradise or a garden. Alfaf means trees thickly planted and with interlacing boughs. It's derived from the verb laffa, to roll up, to wrap, to be entangled, trees, or to be joined thick and luxuriant. After presenting a number of the signs and testimonies, one after the other, in these verses, the deniers of the resurrection and hereafter have been exhorted. So as to say, if you consider the earth and the mountains and your own creation, your sleep and wakefulness, and the system of the day and night intelligently, and consider the well-fortified system of the universe and the shining sun in the heavens, the rain falling from the clouds and the vegetables growing thereby, you will see two things very clearly. First, that all this could neither come into existence without a mighty power, nor continue to exist and function so regularly. Second, that each of this great wisdom is working, and nothing that happens here is purposeless. The declension of these verses is Banayna is a verb in the past tense with its subject. Fawrakum is an adverbial of place. Sab'an is the object of the verb, and shidadan is an adjective to sab'an. Ja'alna is a verb in the past tense with its subject. Sirajan is its object, and wahajan is an adjective to sirajan. Anzalna is a verb in the past tense with its subject. Min al-mu'sirat is a prepositional phrase, and ma is the object of the verb, and thajjajan is an adjective to ma. The preposition li is the justifying lam. Nukhrij is a verb in the subjunctive mood because of the justifying lam with a hidden subject. Bihi is a prepositional phrase. Habban is the object of the verb. Nabatan and jannat are linked with habban by wa, and alfafan is an adjective to jannat. The next four verses are إن يوم الفصل كان ميقاتا يوم ينفخ في الصور فتأتون أفواجا وفتحت السماء فكانت أبوابا وسيرت الجبال فكانت سرابا. Indeed, the day of decision has been appointed, the day in which the trumpet shall be blown. So you come in crowds. And the sky was opened up so it became gateways, and the mountains were set in motion so they became plains of sand. Inna is an emphatic particle which may introduce both nominal sentences and inverted verbal sentences, subject plus verb. It belongs to a group of particles known as inna wa akhawatiha, inna and its sisters, and they govern a subject. When this can be inflected in the accusative case, it means indeed. Yom is a day, and al-fasl is the verbal noun of the verb fasala, to set apart, to separate, or to distinguish. So, Yom al-Fasl is the judgment day, the separation day, the resurrection day, or the decision day. Kana is the verb to be, in the past tense, in the third singular masculine person. This verb belongs to the basic form of verbs, and it is a hollow verb, which has a weak middle radical between two strong radicals. In addition to kana, there is a group of verbs that also express the idea of existence, although the idea is modified in some way, such as that it begins, continues, or ceases. These verbs are called the sisters of kana, or kana and its sisters, kana wa akhawatiha. Miqat, an appointment, a fixed or an ordained time, is what we call a noun of time, or isim zaman. It is used to indicate the time in which the action of the verb is carried out. It's derived from the verb waqata, to fix or to appoint the time of an action. Allah Ta'ala says about the day of decision, and it is the day of judgment, that it is at a fixed time with a set appointment. Its time cannot be added to or decreased. No one knows its exact time except Allah Ta'ala. Yom is an adverbial of time and not a noun, means on that day or a day when. If the verb that comes after yom is in the present tense, it indicates that the event will surely happen in the future. Yunfakh is the verb nafakha, to blow, in the present passive, in the third singular masculine person. This verb belongs to the basic strong form of verbs, which all its radicals are strong or sound. Fi, in, within, or into, is a preposition that introduces here the place where something occurs or is situated, which is as-sur, the trumpet or the horn. Fa is the conjunction so or then. Ta'tun is the verb ata, to come or to bring, in the present tense in the second plural masculine person you. This verb belongs to the basic form of verbs, and it is a defective verb which consists of two strong radicals and a final weak radical. And also, it is a hamzated verb, a verb with hamza as a radical. Afwajan is the broken plural of fawj, a collection of persons, a group, a crowd, or a multitude. This implies the final sounding of the trumpet at which all dead men will rise back to life forthwith. You implies not only those who were the addresses at that time, but all those humans who will have been born from the beginning of creation till resurrection. Futiha is the verb fataha, to open, in the past passive, in the third singular feminine person. This verb belongs to the basic strong form of verbs, which all its radicals are strong or sound. Kanat is the verb kana, to be, in the past tense, in the third singular feminine person. Abwab is the broken plural of bab, a door, a gateway, meaning paths and routes for the descending of the angels. Frequently, the Quran addresses the events of the hereafter in past tense. This grammatical shift should be pondered by the reader. Suyira is the verb sayyara, to make go, to set in motion, or to cause to pass away in the past passive, in the third singular feminine person. This verb belongs to the form two verbs, which follows this pattern. Fa'ala. Al-Jibal is the broken plural of the noun Al-Jabal, the mountain. The noun Al-Jabal, when it is in singular form, it's considered as a masculine noun, but when it is in plural, Al-Jibal, it's considered as a feminine noun. Sarab is the plains of sand, and it also means a mirage, meaning they appear to the one who looks at them as if they are something, but they are actually nothing. After this, they will be completely removed. Nothing will be seen of them, and there will be neither base nor trace of them. The declension of these verses is inna is a conjunction particle, yawma is its subject, and it's a governing term in idafa construction with al-fasl as its genitive term. Kana is a verb in the past tense with a hidden subject with miqatan as its predicate, and the verbal sentence is the predicate of inna. The adverbial of time, yawma, is an opposition, badal, with yawm al-fasl, and it is a governing term in idafa construction. Yunfakhu is a verb in the past passive with a hidden substitute of the subject. We call a phrase that has a verb in the present or the past passive by a phrase with a passive voice action. The subjects of passive verbs undergo the action. The passive voice is used when the agent of the action is unknown or not known for certain, when it is not wanted to mention the agent, or in order to emphasize the person or thing that undergoes the action rather than the one who performs it. Fusur is a prepositional phrase, and the verbal sentence is the genitive term of the idafa construction. Fa is a conjunction. Ta'tun is a verb in the present tense with its subject. Afwajan is hal, or a circumstantial accusative. Futihat is a verb in the past passive. As-sama is what we call the substitute for the subject or na'ib al-fa'il. That's because in the passive construction in Arabic, there exists no subject, so the object as-sama turns to be an alternative subject, and we change its last vowel from fatha to dhamma. Kanat is a verb in the past tense with a hidden subject with abwaban as its predicate. The next three verses are إن جهنم كانت مرصادا للطاغين مآبا لابثين فيها أحقابا. Indeed, hell is lying in ambush, a resort for the طاغون, remaining therein for epochs. Jahannam is hellfire. Mirsad, an ambush, is what we call a noun of place or ism makan. It is used to indicate the place in which the action of the verb is carried out. It's derived from the verb rasada, to lay in wait, to look out, to lay in ambush. An ambush, a place contrived to entrap game by surprise. Hell has been described as an ambush because the rebels of God are fearless of it and are enjoying life thinking that the world is a haven of bliss for them. They do know that hell is lying in ambush for them, which will trap them suddenly and keep them trapped. Li is an inseparable preposition that occurs here with the general meaning for the purpose of or for. At-Taghin is the genitive case of At-Taghun, a sound masculine plural of At-Taghi, an active participle that means literally the insolent or the exorbitant person who transgresses limits. It's derived from the word Tagha, to transgress. Ma'ab is another noun of place or ism makan that means a place of return, derived from the verb aba, to come back from or to repent. Meaning, Jahannam will be a place of return. a final destination, a final outcome, and a residence for at-taghun, those who transgress the boundary limits set by Allah Ta'ala, like polytheists, disbelievers in the oneness of Allah Ta'ala, hypocrites, sinners, criminals. Labithin is the sound masculine plural of the active participle labith, someone who's staying. It's derived from the verb labitha, to remain in a place. Fi, in, within, or into, is a preposition that introduces here the place where something occurs or is situated, which is Jahannam. That's referring to it with the object pronoun ha. Ahqab is an adverbial of time that means ages or epochs. Some commentators said no one knows how much time these ahqab are except for Allah Ta'ala, the mighty and sublime. It has been mentioned to us that one haqaba is 80 years, and the year is 360 days, and each day is equivalent to 1,000 years according to your reckoning in this life. The declension of these verses is inna is a conjunction particle with Jahannam as its subject. Kanat is the verb in the past tense with a hidden subject with mirsadan as its predicate, and the verbal phrase is the predicate of inna. Littaghin is the prepositional phrase, and ma'aban is the second predicate of kanat. Labithin is hal, a circumstantial accusative. Fiha is a prepositional phrase, and ahqaban is an adverbial of time. The next three verses are لا يذوقون فيها بردا ولا شرابا إلا حميما وغساقا جزاء وفاقا. They shall taste therein nothing cool, nor any drink, except boiling water and purulence, a fitting repayment. La is the most commonly negative particle used to negate a verb in the present tense. It immediately precedes the verb, which is here يذوقون. يذوقون, which is the verb ذاق, to taste, in the present tense, in the third plural masculine person, referring to at-taghin. This verb belongs to the basic form of verbs, and it is a hollow verb, which has a weak middle radical between two strong radicals. Bard is coolness or cold weather. Sharab is a drink. Illa is the most important particle used to express exception, al-istithna. It is a compound of the conditional conjunction in and the negative particle la. Illa usually introduces an inseparable part of a sentence. It may, however, introduce a noun which is an exception to a noun of more general meaning in the previous negative sentence. The noun introduced by illa is in the same case as the noun in the negative sentence. Hamim is very hot weather or water from the verb hamma, to heat, to become very hot. And ghassaq is an intense active participle as used in the original, applies to pus blood, and all those fluids that flow out from the eyes and skin as a result of a grievous penalty. Besides, this word is also used for a thing which stinks and gives out a horrid, offensive smell. Meaning they will not find any coolness in hell for their hearts, nor any good drink for them to partake in, except boiling water of extreme temperatures, and pus, which is what they will indeed taste. They are given this pair of tortures. Jaza is a verbal noun that means a compensation, a recompense, a repayment, and a reward. It comes from the verb jaza, to reward, as we used to say. Jazakallahu khairan, may Allah reward you. Wifaq is the act of suiting or becoming fit. It is an adjective from the verb wafaqa, to fit or to find suitable. meaning that which will happen to them of this punishment is in accordance with their wicked deeds, which they were doing in this life, in other words, in proportion to and comparable with their crimes. The declension of these verses is: La is a negative particle, يذوقون is a verb in the present tense with its subject, فيها is a prepositional phrase, بردا is the object of the verb يذوقون, لا شرابا is linked with what's before by wa. إلا is an acceptive particle, حميما وغساقا are in apposition, بدل with شرابا. Jaza is an absolute object, مفعول مطلق. An absolute object is a verb's object that is etymologically related to the verb and serves as an adverbial modification typically describing how the action of the verb is performed. This may add little or no extra meaning except to emphasize the action of the verb. And وفاقا is an adjective to jaza. The next 4 verses are: إنهم كانوا لا يرجون حسابا وكذبوا بآياتنا كذابا وكل شيء أحصيناه كتابا فذوقوا فلن نزيدكم إلا عذابا. Indeed, they were not expecting a reckoning, and they belied our ayat completely, and everything we have enumerated in a book. So taste you, for we will not increase you except in punishment. كانوا is the verb كان, to be, in the past tense, in the third plural masculine person. يرجون is the verb رجا, to expect or to hope, in the present tense, in the third plural masculine person. This verb belongs to the basic form of verbs, and it is a defective verb, which consists of 2 strong radicals and a final weak radical. Hisab, a reckoning, is the verbal noun of the verb hasaba, to number or to reckon. Meaning, they did not believe that there would be an abode in which they would be taken into account. كذبوا alone is the verb كذب, to accuse, to falsehood, or to falsely deny. In the past tense, in the third masculine plural person, this verb belongs to the form 2 verbs, which follow this pattern. فعل. Be is an inseparable preposition, being attached directly onto the word it governs. It has the general meaning of connection. It can mean at, in, by, with, or on. Ayatina is the sound feminine plural of aya, a verse or a sign, and the last na is the possessive pronoun our, refers to Allah Ta'ala. كذابا, to belie outright or to belie completely. It is a verbal noun of كذب, meaning they used to deny the evidence of Allah Ta'ala and His proof for His creation, which He revealed to His messengers, so they met this proof with rejection and abstinence. This is the reason for which they will deserve this dreadful penalty of hell. Firstly, they lived in the world thinking that the time will never come when they will have to appear before God and render an account of their deeds. Second, that they utterly refused to accept and acknowledge the revelations that Allah Ta'ala had sent through His prophets for their instruction and treated them as falsehood. Kull, totality or whole, is a noun that commonly occurs as a governing term in an idafa construction or with a pronoun suffix. It governs in this verse an undefined singular noun with the meaning each or every. Shay is a thing, so kulla shay is everything. Kulla shay is what we call an idafa construction. An idafa construction is used to express ideas such as simple possession, the material out of which a thing is made, or a quality or characteristic of a person or thing. Kulla shay belongs to the simple idafa, which consists of 2 terms. The second term or genitive al-mudaf ilayh serves to determine, define or further explain the first or governing term al-mudaf. The governing term may be in any case depending on the function of the idafa within the sentence. The genitive must be in the genitive case. I mean it should end with kasra or something similar to it. The governing term never has the definite article or nunation, whereas the genitive may have either. أحصيناه is the verb أحصى, to enumerate or to count in the past tense in the first plural person we, refers to Allah Ta'ala, and the last hu is an object pronoun which refers to كل شيء. This verb belongs to the form four verbs which follows this pattern أفعل. Kitab literally means a book, that is, we were continuously preparing a complete record of their saying and doings, their movements and occupations, even of their intentions, thoughts and aims in life, and nothing was being left unrecorded. Whereas the foolish people in their heedlessness thought that they were living in a lawless kingdom where they were free to do whatever they pleased and desired, and there was no power to call them to account. ذوقوا is the verb ذاق, to taste, in the imperative, in the second plural masculine person, you. Fa is what we call fa al-ta'lil, the justifying fa. It justifies what came before by what comes next. Len is a negative particle. It precedes a verb in the present tense and is the usual way of denying the future. It may imply some emphasis, not at all, never, and unusually, it makes the verb in the present tense end with fatha and not dhamma. We call this fact by the subjunctive mood. In this verse, the verb len denies in the future is zad, to increase, in the subjunctive mood in the first plural person we, and kum is the object pronoun you for masculine plural. This verb belongs to the basic form of verbs, and it is a hollow verb, which has a weak middle radical between two strong radicals. Adhab is literally a punishment and a chastisement. This means that it will be said to the people of the hellfire, taste that which you were in. We will never increase you in anything except torment according to its type of sin and something else similar to it. The declension of these verses is إنهم is a conjunctional particle with its subject. Kanu is the verb kana in the past tense with its subject. La is a negative particle. Yarjun is a verb in the past tense with its subject, with hisaban as its object. And the verbal sentence of Yarjun is the predicate of kanu, and the verbal sentence of kanu is the predicate of inna. Wa is a conjunction. كذبوا is a verb in the past tense with its subject بآياتنا, is a prepositional phrase. كذابا is an absolute object, مفعول مطلق. كل شيء is an idafa construction itself. أحصيناه is a verb in the past tense with its subject and object. كتابا is hal or a circumstantial accusative. Fa is a conjunction. ذوقوا is a verb in the imperative with its subject. Fa is the justifying fa. Len is a negative particle. نزيدكم is a verb in the subjunctive mood because of len, with its object and with a hidden subject. إلا is an acceptive particle, and عذابا is a second object of نزيدكم. The next four verses are إن للمتقين مفازا حدائق وأعنابا وكواعب أترابا وكأسا دهاقا. Indeed, for the righteous is attainment, gardens and grapevines, and well-matched youthful virgins, and a full cup. Li, to or for, is an inseparable preposition used here to indicate possession. It is used in place of the verb to have, which does not occur in Arabic, or to belong. Al-Muttaqin is the genitive case of Al-Muttaqun, the sound masculine plural of Al-Muttaqi, the one who guards against evil and against that which harms and injures, and is regardful of his duty towards human beings and Allah Ta'ala. Here, the word righteous has been used in contrast to those who did not expect any accountability and who had belied Allah's revelations. Therefore, this word inevitably implies those people who believed in Allah's revelations and lived in the world with the understanding that they had to render an account of their deeds ultimately. Mafaz is a verbal noun that begins with the prefix ma. We call it masdar mimi. It's taken from the verb faza, to win, to gain victory, to achieve a goal and to triumph. And it is another aspect of the verbal noun fawz, a win or an achievement. Allah Ta'ala in this verse and the following few verses informs about the happy people and what He has prepared for them of esteem and eternal pleasure. Hada'iq is the broken plural of hadiqa, a walled garden full of fruits. A'nab is the broken plural of inab, the fruit of grape. Kawa'ib is the broken plural of ka'ib, an epithet that Arabs give to a blooming young maiden or to a girl whose breasts are becoming prominent or budding. Atrab is the broken plural of tirb, a contemporary companion, suiting the age and matching in all other respects as tastes, habits, views, etc. This may mean that they will be of equal age among themselves as well as that they will be of equal age with their husbands. Kas is a cup, and dihaq means overflowing or filled to the brim from the verb dahaqa, to fill up or to pour forth. The meaning of ka'san dihaqa is full cup of wine, which is delicious and does not intoxicate. The declension of these verses is inna is a conjunctional particle. The prepositional phrase lil-muttaqin is a fronted predicate to inna, while mafazan is its latter subject. Hada'iq is in apposition, badal, with mafazan, and An-Naba is linked with hada'iq by wa. Kawa'ib also is linked with An-Naba by wa, and atraban is an adjective to kawa'ib, and ka'san dahaqan is linked with kawa'ib atraban by wa. The next two verses are لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا كذابا جزاء من ربك عطاء حسابا. They hear therein neither laghu talk or lies, a repayment from your Lord, a measured gift. Yasma'un is the verb sama, to hear, in the present tense in the third plural masculine person, refers to al-muttaqin. This verb belongs to the basic strong form of verbs, which all its radicals are strong or sound. Laghu is nonsense speech which is vain and idle, like the dirty, the false, and the evil talk. Kidhab is falsehood or lies. In several places in the Quran, this has been counted as among the major blessings of paradise. Human ears there will remain secure against idle, false, and indecent talk. There will be no nonsensical, meaningless gossiping in paradise. No one will tell lies nor belie others, nor will there be any use of abusive language, slandering, calumnies, and false accusations which are so common in the world. Jaza is a verbal noun that means a compensation, a recompense, a repayment, and a reward. It comes from the verb jaza, to reward, as we used to say. Jazakallahu khairan, may Allah reward you. Min, of, out of, or from, is a preposition that indicates here the origin or source of a thing. Rabbik is your Lord. Ka is the possessive pronoun your, refers to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ata is a bestowment or a gift from the verb a'ta, to give. Hisab, a reckoning, is the verbal noun of the verb hasaba, to number or to reckon. That is, they will not only be given their due rewards which they will deserve for their good deeds, but over and above these, they will be given additional and generous gifts and prizes as well. Contrary to this, in respect of the dwellers of hell, it has been said, they will be recompensed fully for their misdeeds, that is, they will neither be punished less than what they will deserve for their crimes nor more. The declension of these verses is La is a negative particle. يسمعون is a verb in the present tense with its subject. فيها is a prepositional phrase. لغوا is the object of the verb. لا كذابا is linked with what's before by wa, and the sentence is a circumstantial clause. جزاء is an absolute object. مفعول مطلق. من ربك is a prepositional phrase. عطاء is in apposition, badal, with jaza, and hisaban is an adjective to عطاء. The next verse is رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما الرحمن لا يملكون منه خطابا. The Lord of the heavens and earth and all that is between them, the most compassionate, they possess not from him authority for speech. Rabb is Lord. As-samawat is the sound feminine plural of as-sama, the sky or the heaven. Having ta marbuta is not the only way to classify a noun as feminine, but also some nouns that end with alif and hamzat qat', hamza that breaks in their ends, considered as feminine, like sahra, a desert, or a sahara, or ghita, a cover. Al-Ard is the earth. Bain is an adverbial of place that indicates a separation or a division between its objects, and the expression ma bain, which literally means what is between, is occasionally used as an alternative to bain, and huma is an object pronoun, them but for dual, referring here to as-samawati wal-ard, heavens and earth. Ar-Rahman, the most compassionate, is one of the greatest names of Allah Ta'ala, which is derived from Rahima, to have mercy towards, and Ar-Rahma, the mercy. Yamlikun is the verb malaka, to possess in the present tense, in the third masculine plural person, referring to his creature. This verb belongs to the basic strong form of verbs, which all its radicals are strong or sound. Min, of, out of, or from is a preposition that is used here with the meaning of against or in opposition to. Khitab is a speech, a declaration, or an argument. Allah Ta'ala informs of His magnificence and His majesty, and that He is the Lord of the heavens and the earth, and whatever is in them and between them. He explains that He is the most gracious, whose mercy covers all things, and no one is able to begin addressing Him except by His permission. The declension of this verse is Rabb is in apposition, badal, with Rabbik in the previous verse, and it is also a governing term in an idafa construction with as-samawat as its genitive term, and al-ard wa ma baynahuma is linked with as-samawat by wa. Ar-Rahman is in apposition, badal, with Rabb. La is a negative particle, يملكون, a verb in present tense with its subject. Minh is a prepositional phrase, and khitaban is the object of the verb. The next verse is يوم يقوم الروح والملائكة صفا لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا. On the day when the Spirit and the angels line up in ranks, not speaking except to whom the most compassionate permits and speaks aright. Yom is an adverbial of time and not a noun, means on that day or a day when. If the verb that comes after yom is in the present tense, it indicates that the event will surely happen in the future. This verb is yaqum. It is the verb qama, to stand up, in the present tense in the third masculine singular person. This verb belongs to the basic form of verbs, and it is a hollow verb, which has a weak middle radical between two strong radicals. Ar-Ruh means the breath of life, but it is often used in the Holy Quran in the sense of divine inspiration, revelation, al-Wahi and al-Ilham, since it gives life to hearts that were dead in their ignorance and has in the spiritual world the same function as a soul has in the physical world. But, according to most commentators, the Spirit implies the angel Gabriel, who has been mentioned separately from the angels because of his high rank and position with Allah Ta'ala. Al-Malaika is the broken plural of Al-Malak, the angel. Safa means in order, in ranks or in lines. Yatakallamun is the verb takallama, to speak, in the present tense in the third masculine plural person. This verb belongs to the form 5 verbs, which follow this pattern. Tafa'ala. Man is a relative pronoun that usually has an indefinite meaning. Whoever, one who, everyone who, he who. That is, referring to no one in particular, but it may also have a definite meaning. The one, ones, who, those, these, who. Adhina is the verb to grant permission or to allow in the past tense in the third singular masculine person. This verb belongs to the basic form of verbs, and it is a hamzated verb, a verb with a hamza as a radical. Lahu, to him or for him, consists of la, an inseparable preposition that introduces here the indirect object of a verb, indicating the person or thing towards which the action of the verb is directed, which is the object pronoun hu. Qal is the verb to say or to speak in the past tense in the third singular masculine person he. This verb belongs to the basic form of verbs, and it is a hollow verb, which has a weak middle radical between two strong radicals. Sawab is that which is right, straightforward course, and rightness, it comes from the verb saba, to hit the mark. To speak, to intercede, and intercession has been made conditional upon two things. Number 1, that the person who is granted permission by Allah Ta'ala to intercede for a sinner will alone be allowed to intercede and for the particular sinner only. Number 2, that the intercessor will say only what is right and proper and nothing derogatory, and the one for whom he is interceding should have at least acknowledged the truth in the world, that is, he should only be a sinner, not an unbeliever. The declension of this verse is: the adverbial of time, yawma, is a governing term, al-mudaf, of an idafa construction. Yaqum al-ruh is a verb in the present tense with its subject. Al-malaika is linked with al-ruh by wa, and the verbal sentence is a genitive term, mudaf ilayh, of the idafa construction. Safa is hal, a circumstantial accusative. La is a negative particle. يتكلمون is a verb with its subject, and the verbal sentence is a circumstantial clause. Illa is an acceptive particle. The relative pronoun men is in apposition, badal, with the subject of the verb يتكلمون. Adhina is a verb in the past tense. Lahu is a prepositional phrase. Ar-Rahman is the subject of adhina, and the verbal sentence is a relative clause to men. Qal is a verb in the past tense with a hidden subject. and صوابا is an adjective to an omitted absolute object. Normally, it should be وقال قولا صوابا. The absolute object is قولا, a speech, but it is omitted in this verse. The next verse is ذلك اليوم الحق فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه مآبا. That is the true day, so whoever wills may take to his Lord a way of return. ذلك is a singular masculine demonstrative pronoun that is used for what is more distant in some way from the speaker. اليوم is the day, and الحق is the true. Men, however, is an indefinite pronoun that introduces a conditional clause, and it requires that the verb following should be in the jussive mood or in the past tense. Sha is the verb to will in the past, in the third singular masculine person. This verb belongs to the basic form of verbs, and it is a hollow verb, which has a weak middle radical between two strong radicals, and also it is a hamzated verb, a verb with a hamza as a radical. اتخذ is the verb to take in the past tense in the third singular masculine person. This verb belongs to the form 8 verbs, which follow this pattern, افتعل. إلى, to or toward, is a preposition that indicates here the person to whom an action is directed. Ma'ab means a place of return. It is a noun of place or ism makan derived from the verb aba, to come back from or to repent. The meaning of this verse is that the true day whose coming to pass is definite, namely the day of resurrection. So, whoever wishes to let him seek resort with his Lord, a return to Him, that is to say, let him return to Allah Ta'ala by being obedient to Him, so that he may be secure from chastisement in it. The declension of this verse is the demonstrative pronoun ذلك is a subject of a nominal phrase. اليوم is its predicate. الحق is an adjective to اليوم. The indefinite conditional من is a subject of another nominal phrase. شاء is a verb in the past tense with a hidden subject, and the verbal sentence is a conditional clause which is called a subordinate clause, and it contains the condition الشرط. اتخذ is a verb in the past tense with a hidden subject. إلى ربه is a prepositional phrase, and مآبا is the object of the verb, and the verbal sentence is the main clause which contains the expected consequence of the condition if fulfilled, جواب الشرط, and the two conditional clauses are the predicate of the subject من of the nominal sentence. The next verse is إنا أنذرناكم عذابا قريبا يوم ينظر المرء ما قدمت يداه ويقول الكافر يا ليتني كنت ترابا. Indeed, we have warned you of a near punishment, the day when the person looks at what his hands have put forth and the unbeliever says, if only I were dust. أنذرناكم is the verb أنذر, to warn, in the past tense, in the first plural person, we, and kum, which is you for plural masculine, is an object pronoun. This verb belongs to the form 4 verbs, which follow this pattern. أفعل. عذاب is a noun that means a punishment, and قريب is an intense active participle that means near. It is derived from the verb قرب, to be near. Apparently, one might think that the people who were the audience of this verse died 14 centuries ago, and even now it cannot be said how many hundreds or thousands or millions of years resurrection will take to come. Then, in what sense has it been said, the torment of which you have been warned has approached near at hand? And what is the meaning of saying in the beginning of the surah, soon they shall know? The answer is that man can have the feeling of time only until he is passing a physical life in the world within the bounds of space and time. After death, when only the soul will survive, he will lose every feeling and consciousness of time, and on the day of resurrection when man will rise back to life, He will feel as though someone had aroused him from sleep suddenly. He will not at all be conscious that he has been resurrected after thousands of years. ينظر is the verb نظر, to look, in the present tense in the third masculine singular person. This verb belongs to the basic strong form of verbs, which all its radicals are strong or sound. Al-mar is the human being, the person with a pulp under the skin, or much simpler, the man. Ma, or what, is a relative pronoun used in pronominal relative clauses to take the place of any noun or any word or phrase functioning as a noun within a sentence. The relative clause usually contains a referent which may, however, occasionally be omitted. قدمت is the verb قدم, to bring upon or to have put forth in the past tense in the third singular feminine person. This verb belongs to the form two verbs, which follow this pattern, فعل. Yada is the dual of the noun yad, a hand. We add elif in its end because it is a subject, so it should be in the nominative case. Nouns in the nominative case end with dhamma if they are singular and with elif if they are dual, and the suffix hu is the possessive pronoun his. يقول is the verb قال, to say in the present tense in the third masculine singular person he. Al-Kafir is the disbeliever, an active participle from kafara, to disbelieve. Late, if only, I wish that, is a sister of inna. That was originally a verb. It is now used solely in the third person masculine singular. Later typically precedes a verbal sentence with inverted word order, subject plus verb, the subject thus immediately following it. When the subject is a noun, it is in the accusative case. The subject often takes the form of a pronoun suffix. The pronoun suffix of the first person singular is ni. Later is rendered more emphatic when preceded by the interjectional particle ya, and the verb in the inverted verbal sentence is often in the past tense, usually with a past meaning, which is here. Kuntu. Kuntu is the verb kan, to be, in the past tense, in the first singular person, I. And turab is dust. Meaning, the disbeliever on that day will wish that he had only been dust in the worldly life. He will wish that he had not been created and that he had never come into existence. This will be when he sees the torment of Allah Ta'ala, and he looks at his wicked deeds that will be written down against him by the noble righteous scribes among angels. It has been said that he will only wish for that when Allah Ta'ala passes judgment between all of the animals that were in the worldly life. He will rectify matters between them with his just wisdom that does not wrong anyone. Even the hornless sheep will be allowed to avenge itself against the sheep with horns. Then, when the judgment between them is finished, He, Allah Ta'ala, will say to them, the animals, be dust, so they will all become dust. Upon witnessing this, the disbeliever will say, Ya laytani kuntu turaban, if only I were dust, meaning, I wish I was an animal so that I would be returned to dust. The declension of this verse is, inna is a conjunctional particle with its subject, and dharnakum is a verb in the past tense with its subject and object. Adhaban is its second object. Qariban is an adjective to adhaban, and the verbal sentence is the predicate of inna. The adverbial of time, yom, is a governing term of idafa construction. Yandur is a verb in the present tense. Al-maru is its subject. The relative pronoun ma is its object, and the verbal sentence is the genitive term of the idafa construction. قدمت is a verb in the past tense, and yadah is its subject, and the verbal sentence is a relative clause to ma. Wa is a conjunction. يقول is a verb in the present tense, and al-kafiru is its subject. Ya is an interjectional particle. Laytani is the verb later with its subject. Kuntu is the verb kana in the past tense with its subject. Turaban is its predicate, and the verbal sentence is a predicate of later.